So we'll just have an informal conversation.
Just a little chat.
A little chat, and then maybe take some questions and stuff. So, one of the benefits, probably the nicest part of my job is I get to play fantasy Broadway, and produce these shows, and then call up people whom I don't know but whose work I deeply admire, and say, hey, do you want to come play? And she's been on my list for a long time. We also have a lot of mutual friends in the business, and we've always heard such wonderful things. So I just want to begin by having you on the stage finally has been such a gift, and you'll know what I mean in particular after you see the show tonight. So let's start by just talking about Come From Away and the character and characters you play. I don't know if you know anything about the show, but I'll do a brief background. It began with the writers of the show attending the 10th anniversary of everybody who was grounded in Gander coming back for a reunion. And they did interviews and stories and began to put together this idea of a musical. It took a long time to develop. They did a lot of regional productions and stuff. It's because when you see it tonight, the structure of it is really kind of unorthodox, but it's an ensemble piece, and you're required to do a lot. So let's talk about when you began working on it, your approach to Beverly, and then all your other character, and what is that like for you?
Well, first of all, let me say I have wanted to work at the Muny my entire career, and for some reason it just it was timing. We just missed it, and after 30 years of seeing all of my friends and colleagues work here, finally the planets aligned, and the perfect show and the perfect chunk of time became available, and I'm just so genuinely thrilled to be here because, as a New York actor, there are these jewels out in the regions that you always want to, see if you can become employed. And this was one in the one jewel I was missing from my crown, my regional crown. And so I was so thrilled. And this show in particular, I don't know if any of you saw it on Broadway, but it was a favorite of mine when I saw it on Broadway, and Jen Colell is a very good friend of mine, and she played Beverly Bass, and that's the role I'm playing. And it was so surreal seeing Jen do it because she was so exquisite in the role, and I was so happy for her because we've been, trolling the boards together for decades, and to see her shine in such a beautiful show and such a beautiful role. And she got me so many house seats to that show. I sent family and friends to go see it. I just really connected with it, and in particular the ensemble nature of it. If you haven't seen it, it is it's an unusual way of storytelling rather than it being a very traditional book musical where you have scenes and songs and scenes and songs. This is 12 principal actors who are essentially on stage the entire time working together to tell this narrative story of what happened on September 11th in Gander, Newfoundland. And it is by far my favorite way to work. And I have been lucky enough to bow last on a Broadway stage. I have originated parts on Broadway. I've had I've played iconic parts that have scared me to death. Ursula in The Little Mermaid. I've done a lot of stuff. And by far my favorite thing to do is work inside of a small ensemble of actors because there's a safety in it, and you also stay so present the entire time because you never leave and go to your dressing room. It's you are in it with each other the entire time, and it is a gift because not all shows are built like that. And so to be working like that in a show that I absolutely loved from the minute I saw my friend in it, and also to be telling this story, which is such a moving story about this extraordinary thing that happened on this terrible day, and these strangers that did this really unbelievable thing for people they had never met, and the message of community and inclusivity and just like helping others. It's just like, it's such a gift. All of that just made for the perfect time to say yes.
There's a moment, just keep your eyes out for it tonight. You sort of, as you watch these things in rehearsals, and you can see certain moments where the company is so alive with each other. And right at the top of the show, they all come out, they're doing this thing, and there's a moment where Adam Heddle, who played Tevye last season, he plays the mayor of the town, and they go up the steps into the middle, and the entire company surrounds him. And just watch that moment tonight, because they're all like, I got you, here we go.
Yeah.
It's our, like, it is so, that ensemble thing you're talking about, it is pure joy.
Yeah.
Because, particularly now, they've been through the rehearsals, they've opened it, they own it, it's theirs. And it's really, and there's a couple moments in the show, but that's the one that always gets me, that they're like, here we go.
And because this process is so brisk, you band together very fast, and, you get into that foxhole together, and, you always, theater is so different than doing film and TV, because you bond in a way, and you're out there together, but this experience is like, bonding warp speed, because we are really in it together, and we really have to have each other because that rehearsal period is so abbreviated.
So about 3 or 4 days ago, time at the Muny is a strange thing in many ways. And, they're long days, so I sort of have to occasionally sneak off to sleep for 45 minutes, because we're all up.
Because you're human?
Because we're human, right. So I'm driving home, and I call my husband, I'm like, hey, I'm coming home to nap, turn everything off. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm watching Heidi Blickenstaff talk about you. So Heidi chronicled her, I called it the Heidi Chronicles.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
She went on Instagram from your day one. You're like, I'm driving, you're going to the airport, I'm going to talk about my experience at the Muny and all of it. So take everybody in the room to sort of where you are now, and the process, and what did you learn, and or what has that been for you, because it is intense and rigorous. There's no getting around it. Yeah.
But it's also thrilling to challenge yourself in this way. I'm 53, and to I don't know, have this kind of a challenge this quick with this brain, I was like, this is gonna be a moment. This is gonna be, I'm gonna have to eat all of the right proteins and get all my rest so that I can be sure and do the best possible job that I can, because it is incredibly fast. And there was a tremendous amount of pre-production. I mean, I was working on the song that I sing in the show that's called Me in the Sky. I live in the Catskills in New York, and I was singing that song while there was snow on the ground. While I knew I was so I was learning. I've been working on this for months, but working on it in my house in the woods is different than actually being here and having all of the rest of the ensemble here. It is incredibly intense, but it's also it's such a great challenge, because we were all talking about this last night. As an actor, when you have challenges like this and you achieve, you don't burst into flames like the show happened. We opened, we're gonna do it again tonight for you. Hopefully it's gonna go great. I'm sure it will. When you can achieve something like that, you really empower yourself to do so much. If I can do this, there's so many other things I can do. And you said this, and this is why I mentioned you on my I'm 53 and doing it, yes, and on a TikTok, is that we were talking about how when a situation is this condensed, you must rely on your skills. You cannot, a lot of times when you're building a show, you rely on your skills, but you've had so much rehearsal, you're so prepared, you've done it a million times, and that is not this situation. And you really have to take a deep breath and know that I have amassed all of the skills. I have the education, I have the experience, I have, the rings around the trunk to know what I'm doing. And so instead of getting freaked out and being like, oh my God, we have not had enough time, you have to say, we have had exactly the amount of time that we've needed, and we're going to do this. And so, and I trust myself. I trust everything that has brought me to this moment to get me through the show tonight. It's very thrilling because all of us are in the same boat. You know, last night there were little blips here and there, and you wouldn't notice necessarily, but in the van we were all like, and then I did this, and then I did that, and then, but we all, because we've been doing this for such a long time, we're all able to help ourselves and help each other very quickly kind of rectify a wrong turn.
I mean, one of the things I tried for the environment and what I talk about is I actually think any idea of perfection gets in the way.
Totally.
Because perfection is just somebody else's sense of judgment of what you should do or be. And so, and artists as a whole tend to be very hard on themselves. I mean, very hard on themselves. So part of it is helping everybody get to a point where they understand that's not it. This is a combined effort of trust and belief in each other's talents. Well, the other thing that was really challenging for all of them in the rehearsal room, if you take a look at, you can see the stage is getting ready, and you see the basic step unit, which is that whole thing's on a turntable. You'll see it moving tonight, but it's like 4 different levels. So they were rehearsing on a flat surface, and the director and choreographer, like, you'll be walking up on this level, you'll be walking, and there were times they were like, we literally have no idea what this is, but it was like, just trust us. And then you saw everybody walk on it and go, oh, okay.
Got it.
Yeah. And then we moved the turntable. Like, what we've learned the art of giving everybody the information they need right when they need it, trust, and right when you need the next thing, it'll be there. And it's a really interesting process, but it is really about the belief of we can do this.
Totally. And we are doing it. That's the thing, is it's not, I don't think I have ever, this is sincere, I have never talked to one of my friends or colleagues who have worked here that has said, we didn't make it. Like, you achieve it. You achieve this sort of, this miracle. And so many people are working together, so many people at the top of their abilities. And, you know, we had, you know, normally you tech a show for days and days and days, and we teched the show inside of one run through. And I couldn't believe it. It was like, you know, just these amazing ants that were all working. I'm not saying I'm the queen. That's you. But like, we were all working together for this like amazing thing that we achieved. I'm so proud of it.
True story to tell, when Heather Headley did Into the Woods, we finished tech, and she was a joy to work with, just like you. But the whole thing, she's standing on stage and she looks at me and she goes like this. Okay, what's this? And I walk up and I'm like, what's up? And she's like, can you tell me why I've been standing on stages for weeks at a time when we can do this in 5 hours?
Well,
and I was like, can't answer it, but but it's a whole different thing. But share us your story. Here's the question I love is, where were you and what was the age where you realized, oh, I may have talent, and what did you do with that?
Really little, really obnoxious. My mom would play Barbra Streisand records, and I would like lay down next to the speaker, and I would harmonize with Barbra Streisand, and I was probably like 2.5, 3.
Oh, wow.
And my mom was like, oh no. and we were not a theater family, they were a sports family, still are, and they didn't really know what to do with me, and I was, you know, running around the backyard and, you know, putting on plays. And anyway, I forced them into taking me to dance lessons, and eventually I went to a performing arts high school. And
this was where?
In Fresno, California. Okay. Sorry, from California. Okay. And then for a hot second, I thought I was going to be a lawyer. My dad's a lawyer. I went to Duke University for school, and I started out public policy, and I really thought I was going to go in that direction. And then I snapped out of it somewhere in my sophomore year. And I was really scared to tell my parents. And they were like, we've been wondering where you've been. Because I always wanted to do theater, always and always, and, you know, was a part of my, you know, growing up, we had a dinner theater in Fresno, and I played Annie for a year. And so, like, I always knew that I wanted to do this, but you know, I think I've also been very civic minded and very interested in politics, and I think there was a moment where I thought I would like to study that. But then, and I'm still interested. My husband is a DA in Hudson in New York, and so I still am very, very interested in all that stuff. But now I'm married to it, and I still get to do my stuff. But after I graduated from Duke, I packed up a U-Haul and started waiting tables at Ellen's Stardust Diner in New York City and started auditioning, and 6 months later I was booked in the national tour of The Who's Tommy in the ensemble. I was a dancer. I was a dancer in many productions for years, and I went on to do several tours, Jekyll and Hyde, Dreamgirls, The Full Monty, and I was always in the ensemble covering. Understudying, and and I did that for about 10 years, and it was great training, really, really great training, and met Jerry Mitchell, Casey Nicola, all of these like heavy hitters in the industry, directors, choreographers, producers, and I had a really great reputation for being a girl who always like said yes and always showed up, always like whenever I went on for whatever, I always did a good job and solved problems, and so I had a really good reputation. And eventually I was like, I got cast in one more national tour of Mamma Mia, and I was covering again, understudying, and that was a turning point for me, because I said to myself, and this was a really great lesson, if I say yes to this, I felt like at that point the industry saw me as an understudy, and I could have made a very nice living like that. And I have a lot of friends that I very much respect in the business who are professional standbys, and that could have been me. But at that moment I was like, what am I doing? What do I want? And it was not that. And so I decided to not take that job, which would have been very lucrative. And I walked away, and I took a tiny little part in the best little whorehouse in Texas, playing Dotsy May at a little theater in Raleigh. And it was my first principal contract. And from there, I would slowly start to amass more principal contracts and cut my teeth. You know, it's different. Like, it's a very different responsibility level being in the ensemble covering as it is, you know, being the one who sings the song every night. And I had to, you know, like figure out how to do that and to like get the confidence to do that. And I'm also a writer, and I had a group of friends that we were always writing stuff with, and we ended up, as sort of a creative exercise for us, we wrote this little show called Title of Show, which I'm guessing many of you have never heard of. And it was really...
The group in the back has.
Yeah. It was all of that. We were writing that for years, really as an exercise for all of us to get together and be creative. And it was, we played ourselves. It was about 4 friends trying to write a musical. It was very meta. And someone that we knew that we had been writing something, and there was a new musical theater festival, and they dared us to submit what we had. And we were like, we weren't doing this to actually do it. We were kind of doing it to make ourselves laugh, to make ourselves feel creative, and like, because the business is tough, you know. Like I said before, the business kind of wanted to keep me as an understudy. Like, you have to really make your own way. Anyway, long story short, we submitted it. We were accepted to the festival. We were one of 2 shows that were reviewed by the New York Times. The other one was Feeling Electric, which became Next to Normal. Yeah. And we got a commercial producer, and 5 years later, that show that we wrote played on Broadway. And that was a miracle. And it was, you know, four actors, 1 music director on stage, and our director, and it was a game changer, because it was a huge commercial flop, but it was a critical darling, and it bought me my name. Because I certainly did not get paid anything to do that. We gave that away to Kevin McCollum, our producer. but it was that moment that all actors want, where suddenly in New York people know who you are, and that's what Title of Show did. And from there, everything changed.
Yeah, that's actually, yes. Although we need to track, because I was actually a peon on Jekyll. Listening to some of these tours, we cross paths.
Yeah.
That's later.
Yeah.
If you have not heard Title of the Show, download it on your device. But she has an iconic song that it kind of ends the show, right?
It's sort of the 11 o'clocker. It's called A Way Back to Then, which is it's kind of all of our stories. It's a song about, when you were little, you had all these dreams, and then you grow up, and if you're lucky enough to see what that dream is, it's not what you thought, and you have to sort of figure out how your dream sort of shifts, and if you still want the dream, and it's a song about kind of reimagining.
Wildly desired and respected in the culture of the business. Like, it's a song that people return to. I listen to it every once in a while. It is breathtakingly beautiful, and her interpretation of this will just melt you. So I encourage that on your ride home tonight to find that amazing song.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Come From Away.
Yes.
And where were you on 9/11?
I was on the national tour of the Full Monty with Andrea Burns, who you will be seeing tonight. Andrea plays Bonnie, and Andrea and I were both in that show, and our tour had not been out long. Was there a stop before Chicago? Chicago may have even been our first stop. And I was on a treadmill and in the morning, and saw the first plane hit, and then where we were in this apartment complex, I went and I was up early, and I went and knocked on everybody's door, and then we all got together, and then Andrea and I and a handful of others that were in a little friend group, we walked up and down Michigan Avenue, and we ended up in a church, and we sat in a church, and it's so fascinating that Andrea and I are now having this experience together after we had that one together.
One of the things that's, I'll use this word, brilliant about the writing of the show is there's this off-stage event that's impacting everybody. And when that event enters and when it exits, because everyone has to do, in the part of the genius of the writing is the dramatic attention is all partially contained with what we're all bringing to it.
Yeah.
There's things surrounded, and all of the characters in the show have to, because you're trying to care for people or figure things out. There's this push-pull of letting that enter into what you are, but then carrying on. And your character, Beverly, probably, she may want to get the closest to sort of, and then pull back. And how do you manage that on stage every night?
Well, it's hard. I mean, I've not met Beverly. Jen told me a lot about Beverly, and she's still alive and well, and she just saw The Lion King in Dallas the other night, for anybody who's interested in that. She loved it. She is like a steel magnolia. She's what she had to endure to accomplish becoming the first female captain in American history is, you can only imagine how difficult that must have been. But she was incredibly respected by her male colleagues, and I think in order to maintain that kind of authority, we know this. If you're not a white guy, you have to work twice, 3 times, 4 times as hard to maintain that kind of authority in any kind of position of power. And she managed to do that without pissing a lot of people off. I think she was very well liked. She was very good at her job. But what's fascinating about playing her, I mean, there are so many things about playing her that are fascinating, but she's also, this whole thread of the show, she is talking to her husband, Tom, and you'll see it tonight. Spoiler alert, I won't tell you too much, but he is her touchstone throughout she's having these conversations with him. And I know, and I bet a lot of people would agree with me, when you are talking to someone you love, but there is crisis going on, it's like that, when I talk to my husband and there is a lot going on, he's the one I want to fall apart with. You know, he's the one that he's my home, he's my safety. And she has to hold it together. And at the very end of the play, I think she's finally able to let go, but she has to hold it together for all of these people that are really having a hard time. And she is too, but she's leading them. And it's so human. I mean, I think all of us can identify with that. You know, trying to stay strong when there's so much chaos and there's such an emergency happening.
And the other thing to notice tonight is, because you'll be swept away instantly. This thing, they come, but will they start, and you're just like this. Sometime during the night, realize that, I don't know what tonight's house is, 8,000, 9,000 people are sitting in total silence, not missing a word. Like, you just be really aware of being in the audience at the Muny tonight. It is so compelling, because of what everyone's bringing to this, and you know we're there, but also these stakes that Heidi's talking about. I've never quite seen, I mean, we've certainly had dramatic musicals before, but I've never seen anything function and create with this audience. Like I always say, and I'm a softie, but I couldn't love the Muny audience anymore, and now there's this.
Yeah.
Like, what, go ahead.
We had a little bit of a rain delay the other night. And it was more than an hour that it was raining. And I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of people, first of all, stayed, which I was, you're not surprised, but I was surprised. And they all, I mean, when we started the show, we did the opening number, and I saw what the house looked like, and then it rained, and we were backstage for an hour, and then when we came back, it looked the same. It didn't look like, oh, we lost a couple K. Like, everybody was there. I couldn't believe it. And everybody was completely leaning in and silent. Like, nobody was like going to get popcorn or yammering on a cell phone. Like, everybody was with us. And I was like, this is unusual. And I love this show. I know this show like deserves it, but like to see it in this outdoor environment, to see these audiences really leaning in like that, it feels special. Like this place is special.
Well, I'm biased, it is.
Yeah.
But also the sort of, just sort of wrapping up, the roots of it, sort of the civic idea. It's very sort of like, the roots of theater, Greek theater, like we're all here as citizens and experiencing that kind of story. You are in for such a treat tonight, and I just want to say, I know to everybody here, looking at the list and the leadership roles that all of you individually, collectively play, thank you. Thank you for your work. Particularly, we got whacked by this tornado. I have no sense of time. It was like a month ago? What was it? 6 weeks ago. And, it's those kind of moments that define you as a community of how you help and figure out and support. And a lot of people in this room, they or their organizations have played a huge role in that. So I'm very grateful because, there's these defining moments. Are you... and that's what's also so interesting about this show right now for this community, because it puts up the how do you answer these big hard questions as a community? So anyway, you're amazing. I'm so happy you are on this stage. There's a moment tonight when she's singing her big There's No Act song. What's the exact name of the song?
Me in the Sky.
Me in the Sky, where she's there, you'll see what we do with the screens. It's frickin' history. Like, live that moment because it's just so magical and beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You gotta go to the show.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the show tonight. Thank you.
See you later.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, thank you.